Great to have you on. Sully here, Greg Conner up there. All right, let's get back. We've been talking about ketamine. We've been talking about Jonathan Javitt. We've been talking about NRx Pharmaceuticals for a while now, stock symbol NRXP. And it has been a pretty eventful week for Dr. Jonathan Javitt, who joins us now via Zoom. Dr. Javitt, great to talk to you, sir, as usual. Welcome back to the program.
It's wonderful to see you.
Hey, listen, let's talk about the week that happened where you unveiled your plans to start shipping ketamine to clinics for acute suicidal, I think you call it suicidality or something like that in your press release. Talk about it. That's a big move for you guys.
Well, as you know, we're in the process of applying to the FDA for the ability to change the label on ketamine from just being an anesthetic to a drug that has the proven ability to decrease suicidal ideation, decrease depression in a matter of hours. But in the meantime, you've got more than 1,000 ketamine clinics in the United States who are suddenly faced with a drug shortage. They're frequently buying ketamine from compounding pharmacies. The FDA has warned against the quality that may result from that. And we have the ability to partner with what's called a 503B distributor of ketamine, licensed by the FDA, licensed by the states, and therefore we're going to be delivering ketamine to doctors who are using it to treat patients in the next couple months.
Talk about NRx 101, the pill, versus you talked about nasal in the past. Talk about that.
Well, I think we talked last time about the difference between jump starting your car and turning the ignition key.
Right.
So ketamine can be magic, according to the data that's out there for people who are acutely depressed, acutely suicidal. But you're talking about a drug that kills brain cells. It's addictive. It's hallucinogenic. It's nothing to be using long term. In fact, it's dangerous to be using it long term. So if you think about, ketamine is sort of putting a cork in the pipe in the brain called the NMDA receptor. Think about NRx 101 as turning a faucet on that same pipe.
So are we talking, not to interrupt, but are we talking about developing two different drugs for the same indication?
Well, we are. One of them being for acute use, and the other one being for chronic home use.
I see.
So the problem with ketamine is, it works within hours, but the effect wears off within a week. And having people go back for an intravenous infusion every week is both, not going to work, and it's dangerous.
Doctor.
So NRx 101 is a safe pill that does target the same receptor and the same indication, but we anticipate that it's going to be safe for people to use it at home for months at a time.
And Dr. Javitt, how do the market sizes of each of those compare?
Well, acute suicidality is not that common. Probably you're seeing $400 million a year of Spravato sales from Johnson & Johnson. Spravato is a nasal form of ketamine, whereas a safe oral drug like NRx 101 probably has a market of between $1 and $2 billion. Wow. If it turns out to be useful for chronic pain as well, and those data are coming, then you're talking about potential market size of $5 billion.
So, which brings up the question: what happens if both drugs happen to work through trials? That for NRXP, that's a huge home run, correct?
It is a huge home run, and there are plenty of conditions where one drug is used in the acute care setting, and another drug is used to maintain the effect.
As far as how you plan next, okay? We've talked about manufacturing. We've talked about acquisitions. How do you effectively plan when you've got so many good things happening at the same time, regarding FDA, regarding even, if you look at the news, regarding how your financing's going, the way if you look at the market cap is climbing. How do you make plans for the next 6 months? How do you make plans for the next 18 months?
Well, that's really the reason that we've set up Hope Therapeutics as a separate company, because it's really not a biotech company. It's what people call a spec pharma or specialty pharma company. And we're going to be pairing ketamine with digital therapeutics, literally computer games that I helped develop in the Department of Defense once upon a time that are able to extend the benefits with regard to reducing stress, reducing depression. We're going to make it easier for doctors to treat with ketamine. So that's what's going to happen inside of Hope Therapeutics, whereas NRx is going to remain a biotechnology research and development company. We're actively talking about bringing in an early stage drug that might be the first drug ever to modify the course of schizophrenia, disease that affects 1% of Americans. And so far, the only treatments we have are essentially tranquilizers.
Dr. Javitt, you bring up Hope Therapeutics. Just for our audience that didn't catch when we spoke of that last time you were on the air, break it down again, once again, how Hope Therapeutics is going to be a new company that vends out certain assets from NRx to create two sort of powerhouse companies. And of course, Hope there's a possibility Hope could go public at some point. So talk about that again. For those
right now, and much more than a possibility, Hope is designed to go public within the next 6 months. Right now, Hope is 100% owned by NRx. We're going to be putting half of the stock of Hope into the hands of our current shareholders, which creates a shareholder base that creates sufficient liquidity for Hope to go public. And we're going to be raising additional funds for Hope from people whose motivation is, a steady cash royalty from sales of a commercial stage drug, more than the possibility of getting 100 or 1,000 to 1 on a biotech investment that's kind of binary in nature.
What's next for you if you had to give us a timeline over the next year to 18 months with respect to you vend Hope out first and you go perhaps buy a manufacturing facility? I mean, obviously these are things that are still in works that we're not necessarily announcing, but if you could wave a magic wand, what does that time frame look like for you on all of the initiatives that we've been talking about?
Well, my dream is that a year and a half from now, somebody who has severe depression, suicidal ideation, automatically knows that there's safe and available treatment at a ketamine clinic, just like somebody who has chest pain doesn't think twice about going to the hospital. You don't stay at home and suffer because you're afraid of what they might do to you in the hospital if you have chest pain. And yet, half the people, probably much more than half the people who commit suicide in the United States every year never get proper care before that horrible event happens. So 18 months from now, I'm hoping that we've changed the pattern of care around acute suicidal ideation and that NRx 101 is available as a pill, because right now, all of the current antidepressants are labeled as may cause suicide. They're contraindicated in people who have suicidal ideation.
We just want to make sure
NRx 101 would be the first antidepressant, the first oral antidepressant that's demonstrated to help people who have both depression and suicidal thoughts.
We just want to make sure you're not going to retire anytime soon. That's the big part for us here, pal.
Well, my dad's 96 years old. Last year, he published 2 papers in the scientific literature, and he's not tired. So I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Dr. Jonathan Javitt, we want you in San Diego in the next couple of weeks, pal.
Thank you.
NRxP. Boy, I'll tell you, a lot of stuff going on in that company. Check out NRxPharma.com. Dr. Jonathan Javitt. More Big Biz coming up. Stand by.